And if we bring down a great political party that should not be blamed for what happened, we begin to bring down a system. And if we bring down the system, unless you've got something better to replace it with, we're in trouble. And I, for one, don't have anything better to replace it with.
That voice you're hearing is Joe Biden. The year was 1973, so that video clip is about a half century old. And what he's talking about is Watergate. And the great political party that he's talking about is the Republican Party. His point in that clip back in 1973 was that you should not blame all Republicans or indeed the Republican Party itself for what happened during the Watergate scandal. That was a scandal of a few individuals or at most one administration in one branch of government. And so why are we talking about a clip from 1973? Why are we talking about Watergate? Because when we talk about consistency for long periods of time, literally decades, in the Democratic primary today, we're generally talking about Bernie Sanders. But here I actually want to give Joe Biden credit because he has been consistent for half a century on one thing, that the Republican Party can be salvaged, that you can't blame all Republicans for the bad apples in the party. And that is something that just became news again yesterday. He said 8 years of Donald Trump will fundamentally change who we are in profound ways. With Trump gone, you're going to begin to see things change because these folks know better. They know this isn't what they're supposed to be doing. And so what he's saying there is, if Donald Trump stays on for 8 years, then everything's fundamentally changed. For some reason, 4 years won't accomplish that. And if he gets into office, then we will have, Donald Trump will be gone. But Mitch McConnell, Republicans in the Senate and in the House, they will begin to see reason once again. They can be reasoned with. We can start to do bipartisan things. We can push forward with an agenda that the Republicans will help to push for the best interests of the American people. You can't blame all Republicans for what one administration did, the Trump administration in this particular case. We can't throw aside a great American political party because there's nothing to replace it with. That system of Republicans and Democrats, that's what needs to be maintained. And apparently a level of respect for both parties needs to be maintained as well. And I would make the case that that is naive today and it was naive in 1973. And Joe Biden's lifelong attempt to make sure that you believe that the Republican Party can be salvaged is a waste of time and potentially, if he gets in office, a waste of another Democratic administration. This is not some random throwaway comment we're focusing on. Back last month, he said, the thing that will fundamentally change things is with Donald Trump out of the White House, not a joke. Again, fundamentally change things. That it will not simply be the best thing we can hope for out of a presidential election, getting Donald Trump out of office and getting a sane alternative into office, but that will fundamentally change the problems that we're facing. And look, we talk every day about these problems. We know how deep they go economically and socially, in immigration, in criminal justice, all of these issues. We know how significant the divide currently is. And Joe Biden either believes that all of that will be fixed or at least wants you to believe that he believes that. And I find both of those things to be very scary. I don't generally think of politicians as being naive people. I definitely don't believe that politicians who've been around for 50 years, I don't think of them as naive people, but he wants us to believe that he is that naive. And I know that it's been very popular during his candidacy so far that he's been trying to tie himself with Barack Obama. And even last week on National Best Friends Day, he put that photo up of the friendship bracelet between him and Obama. But this is a very particular part of the Obama presidency that he wants to hug tightly to himself as well. The belief that Republicans will work with them, that if we just put out our hand, they will grasp it in friendship and solidarity for the best interests of the American people. I don't think that that's what's going to happen, and the Republicans want to make sure that you know that that's not what's going to happen. Not too long ago, the New York Times had quoted Senator Mitch McConnell as saying he's turned his chamber into a legislative graveyard, opting to devote the Senate floor almost exclusively to confirming conservative judicial nominations and Trump administration appointees, no legislation. And Team Mitch on Twitter tweeted, "I'm Mitch McConnell and I approve this message." It wasn't that long ago that Donald Trump declared, he said this himself, mind you, that he will be the grim reaper in the Senate when it comes to socialist schemes that would destroy jobs, private health insurance, and the free enterprise system. So right now, The Senate is not a place where there will be any bipartisanship. Nothing that the House passes now that the American people have made their voices clear and elected Democrats to control the House, that doesn't matter. Mitch McConnell will never allow anything through the Senate. And if you get a Democrat president, if you get a progressive president, he will be the Grim Reaper scything down all of that legislation, whether it's on the economy or the Green New Deal or Medicare for all. That's what he is promising to you. I hear that promise. I think you hear that promise, but Joe Biden has his fingers a couple inches deep in each ear. He will not hear the reality of what Mitch McConnell is screaming at him. And Mitch McConnell has control of Republicans in the Senate. They will follow him. And although they no longer control the House, those House Republicans, they're not eager to be working with the Democrats either. And look, I was talking about Obama and how this is sort of a strand that goes from the Obama presidency to the Biden candidacy. Remember that while campaigning for re-election back in 2012, Obama predicted that if he won a second term, the quote, Republican fever may break. He added, quote, my hope, my expectation is that after the election, now that it turns out that the goal of beating Obama doesn't make much sense because I'm not running again, that we can start getting some cooperation again. No, you didn't get cooperation again, you got Donald Trump, okay? The guy who had made his name during those years by selling the birther, the racist birther conspiracy theory. They chose him as their champion. They denied you a seat on the Supreme Court that was yours. By the will of the people, in 2 presidential elections, they said, we don't care, you're not getting anything. If we have power, and in that instance they showed that they did, they're going to exercise it. That was the cooperation that Obama was able to get. And look, I think that Obama is probably a little bit less naive than Joe Biden, but he campaigned based on this idea that the Republicans would come to him, even after the rise of the Tea Party. Again, that wasn't in 2008, that was 2012. He really did believe that they would be able to break through, and Joe Biden is saying the same thing. Now, I don't know if this is just campaign rhetoric or if Joe Biden really does believe this, but imagine how scary the prospect is that if Joe Biden is the nominee, and if Joe Biden does beat Donald Trump, which would by itself be an amazing victory, it would be great, we wouldn't have him anymore, but that he really believes that he should spend his political capital and his time working with the Republicans, that they will actually respond as serious, responsible political actors. Do you actually believe that? After 8 years of Obama, after what we've seen under Donald Trump, do you really believe that that's going to happen? But Joe Biden, now a couple months into this election, he wants you to believe that that's what he actually thinks. And we will see, if he does end up winning, we will see how much that actually gets him and how much that gets us. Thank you for watching this clip from the Damage Report. For more content from the show and access to TYT Network members only exclusives, go to tyt.com/Brooke. Wait, no, it's tyt.com/John. Go to tyt.com/John to sign up.